To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
So my dear children, in the earlier chapter we have discussed several details regarding the solar eclipses. We discussed how the solar eclipses are going to occur, and we mainly discussed that the solar eclipse is going to occur because of the shadow of the moon which is falling on the earth, right? Now this is the next chapter. Here also we'll be discussing a special incident regarding the eclipses, but however after the solar eclipses now we are going to learn about the lunar eclipses. So my dear children, we'll be mainly studying about the lunar eclipses within this lesson part. Lunar eclipses. So as you can see here, right, the number of lunar eclipses, it is given the main topic lunar eclipses, and you are given with a certain point here. The number of lunar eclipses we can observe is more than the number of solar eclipses. So like I said, my dear children, in the earlier case, like I said, when we are studying about the solar eclipses, I told you that solar eclipses are somewhat rare. But however, if you take the lunar eclipses, we can observe lunar eclipses way more, if you take the number is way more greater than the number of solar eclipses. We can observe greater number of lunar eclipses when you compare it with the solar eclipses. Okay. So we can observe large number or large count of lunar eclipses when you compare it with the solar eclipses. Okay. Right. Then the next point it is given. Lunar eclipse occur on a full moon day. Now, in order to observe a lunar eclipse, my dear children, at the very beginning of the earlier chapter, which we were discussing about the solar eclipses, first of all, we introduced the two types of eclipses that we can observe. So, at that part, we discussed the first main incident is the solar eclipse and the second one is the lunar eclipse. And I told you that lunar eclipse is going to occur because of falling the shadow of the earth on the moon. So, when the shadow of the earth is going to fall on the moon should be visible for us. Otherwise, we won't be able to see that shadow, no? So my dear children, these lunar eclipses can be observed during a full moon day, right? During a full moon day, we can observe these lunar eclipses, because to observe these lunar eclipses, the moon should be there within the sky. So if the moon is there, we know that it should be a full moon day. So on a full moon day, we can observe lunar eclipses. So lunar eclipses occur when the earth comes in between the sun and the moon and are in a straight line. So as you can see given within the figure, my dear children, when the sun, earth and the moon is over there, right? When the sun, moon and the earth come into a straight line like this, when they arrange in a straight line like this, then my dear children, right, a lunar eclipse is going to occur. Lunar eclipse is going to occur. Here the shadow of the earth is going to fall on the surface of the moon. So by that way, a portion or the entire moon is going to disappear, right? So this case is the one which is referred as the lunar eclipse, right? So now let's see how does the lunar eclipse is going to occur by using the ray diagrams given in the given in the slide over here. So now you can see here within this figure, my dear children, usually light rays are coming like this from the sun, right? From the sun, light rays are coming like this. So here you can observe this region is the umbra region. This is the umbra region, right? So this is the umbra region. This area, this entire area is the umbra region. And my dear children, you know that this is the moon. Now moon, you know that if you take the moon can be in different positions, because you know that the moon is going to revolve around our earth. So it's going to revolve around our earth like this. So in that case, my dear children, right, there are several areas. Now this is the area which the eclipse is going to occur. So first of all, I have mentioned now this certain area which is in dark blue color, you can observe the umbra of planet Earth. This is the umbra of the planet Earth. And these areas are the penumbra region of the planet Earth. Somewhat, like less dark in color. Penumbra region. So the moon which is located like in this kind of a place is going to gradually move towards the umbra region, umbra and the penumbra region. So according to that way, my dear children, now this is the moon, according to that way, we can observe 4 different places. Actually there are 3 different places. So as you can see here, there are 4 instances, but mainly there are 3 different types of eclipses according to the position of the moon, that is on the umbra or the penumbra region of the planet Earth. So when you take the first position in here, now let's imagine that the Earth is going to revolve in this kind of a position, right? Here, alright, okay. Now the first and foremost position is, here you can observe this is position A. Now you can see that the moon is located entirely on the penumbra region of the planet Earth. At the penumbra region, entire moon is located within the penumbra region of the planet Earth. As you can see here, the figure, as you can see here in the figure, right? The position A, within the position A, my dear children, the entire planet, entire moon is located within the penumbra region of the planet Earth, right? Penumbra region of the planet Earth. So in that case, my dear children, you can observe a penumbral lunar eclipse. So penumbral lunar eclipse can be observed. Penumbral lunar eclipse. Okay. In here at the position A, we can observe a penumbral lunar eclipse. Then at the position B, my dear children, in the position B, this one, here a major part or a portion, right, a major part of a major part or else a major portion is located within the umbra region, or else you can say that like a portion is located within the umbra region, however the other portion, right, the other portion is located on the penumbra region. Not half, actually we can say a portion, right, a fraction is located at the umbra region and the other fraction is located at the penumbra region. Fraction is at the umbra region and the other fraction is at the penumbra region, as you can see here very clearly. So this is referred as a partial lunar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipse. It's not a penumbral one. Okay, it's not a total one either. It's not a penumbral one. It's not a total one. It's referred as a partial one. Because, my dear children, if you take the partial one, in a partial lunar eclipse, one part of the moon is located within the dark surface or the darker shadow area or on the umbra region, and the other portion is located at the penumbra region, the below area of the shadow of the planet Earth. Okay, so at this situation we can observe a partial lunar eclipse, right? Partial lunar eclipse at position B, partial lunar eclipse. Then, my dear children, the third instance, here you can see very clearly, here the entire moon is located within the umbra region. Entire moon is located within the umbra region, right? Entire moon is located within the umbra region. The third instance C. So if the entire region is located within the umbra region, my dear children, this is called as a total lunar eclipse. Then it is referred as a total lunar eclipse. A total lunar eclipse, as you can see here within the figure. Total lunar eclipse. The entire moon is located within the umbra of the planet Earth. Once again, my dear children, during the movement you can observe, again the moon comes towards the penumbra region. So as you can see here within the figure D, so this is the penumbral lunar eclipse once again. So you can observe three main incidents, three main eclipses according to the position of the moon on the areas of the shadow of the planet Earth. If the moon is located on the penumbra region, then it is referred as the penumbral lunar eclipse. Penumbral. A and D are examples. If the moon is located entirely on the umbra region of the planet, Earth, right? Like in the instance C, in that case, my dear children, the total lunar eclipse can be observed. Total lunar eclipse, like in the C. Then if a portion is located on the umbra region and the other portion is located on the penumbra region, then, my dear children, we can observe, like in the B instance, we can observe a partial lunar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipse. Okay, as you can see, the Earth is somewhat larger. Actually, it is way more larger than the Earth, way more larger than the moon. So therefore, when you draw a figure, it should be like this. Earth. Then, my dear children, now this is the umbra region and the other one is the penumbral region. Now the moon is going to be like this. So I'll take a different color for the moon. I'll take yellow color. If the moon is like this, so this is a penumbral. This is a penumbral. So I'll mention as moon. So this is moon. So this is a penumbral one. Penumbral. Okay. Penumbral one. Then So in the second instance, you can draw it like this. This is the umbra and over there it is the penumbra. So the second instance I can draw it like this. So this is the moon. So this is called as a partial lunar eclipse, partial one. And the third instance, I can draw it like this. So this is how the shadow is going to fall, my dear children. This is how the shadow of the earth is going to fall. So you know that the shadow has two different areas. This is the umbra region, the darker surface, and this area is the penumbra region, which is somewhat light in color or blur area, right? That's the penumbra region of the planet Earth. This is the umbra region of the planet Earth. So the third position would be like this. Entirely, the moon is located within the umbra region of the planet Earth. So I'll name the two regions. Penumbra of Earth. Right? So this is the penumbra of the Earth. Okay. Then the umbra region, this is umbra. This darker surface is the umbra. So this is the position of the moon. So according to the position of the moon, you can observe three different kinds of lunar eclipses. So these three kinds of lunar eclipses are: number one, the total lunar eclipse. On the total lunar eclipse, the moon is entirely located on the umbra region of the earth, my dear children. So this is total lunar eclipse. Total. Right? Total lunar eclipse. Then the second one, number 2 over here. Here the moon is located on the penumbra region of the earth. So this is called as the penumbral right? Penumbral lunar eclipse. Take the slide somewhat up. Penumbral lunar eclipse. Then number 3 over here. Here, my dear children, one portion is located at the penumbra, the other portion is located at the umbra. So this is referred as the partial, right? Partial lunar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipse. So these are the three main types of eclipses that we can observe, my dear children. Number 1, it is the total one. Entire moon is located within the umbra region of the planet Earth, like in the figure given, as you can see here. Then, my dear children, number 2, umbra, the moon is located within the penumbra region, right? Within the penumbra region, the moon is located. So it is referred as the penumbra or penumbral lunar eclipse. Penumbral lunar eclipse here. Then in number 3, one portion is on the umbra and the other portion is at the penumbra. So it's referred as the partial lunar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipse. So according to the position of the moon and the shadow of the planet Earth, we can observe these 3 main kinds of lunar eclipses. So as you can see here, you can observe this thing very clearly within the figure given here. Okay. So here the Earth is very larger than the moon, my dear children. As you can see here very clearly, Earth is way more larger than the moon. So therefore, figure is given according to that. Okay. So these are the main types of lunar eclipses that we can observe within our day-to-day life, my dear children. However, remember, in order to observe, right, in order to observe a lunar eclipse, it should be definitely a full moon day. It should be definitely a full moon day. Even though the solar eclipses are occurring on new moon days, right, on a full moon day only, we can observe a lunar eclipse. Okay, a lunar eclipse can be observed within a full moon day, because in order to observe the moon, it should be a full moon day, no? So therefore, lunar eclipses occur in full moon days, right? So let's head on to see what are the other contents here. So here, shadow of the Earth also has 2 areas. So I told you that shadow of the Earth has 2 areas, named the umbra and the penumbra. So usually in any kind of an object, the 2 main areas that we can observe, 2 main shadows that we can observe is the umbra and the penumbra. It's not the Earth, not the moon, whatever the object, whatever the opaque object. Each and every objects contain 2 areas within the shadow. These 2 areas are referred as the umbra region, which is the darker surface, and the penumbra region, which is the somewhat lighter surface, blur area. Okay. So there are 3 types of lunar eclipses according to the type of the shadow fallen on the moon. So according to the type of shadow which is falling on the moon, there are 3 main types of lunar eclipses. There are 3 main types of lunar eclipses, my dear children. Okay. So now first of all, we are going to observe, or we are going to study about total lunar eclipse, right? First of all, we are going to study about total lunar eclipse. So as you can see here, this is the total lunar eclipse, my dear children. Within the figure also you can see it very clearly. So here, the moon is entirely located within the umbra region of the planet Earth, right? Moon is entirely located within the umbra region of the planet Earth. You can see here very clear within the figure. And this is how the moon is seen during a total lunar eclipse. During a total lunar eclipse, this is the way you can observe the moon. Somewhat different in color. Normally you can observe it as a like a bright light color object, as a bright light color object, no, moon during a full moon day. But however, if it is a lunar eclipse, if it is going to be a lunar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse, somewhat reddish color can be observed on the surface of the moon, right? Now let's see about the total lunar eclipse. So total lunar eclipse occurs when the moon enters completely into the umbra of the Earth. So when the moon is going to enter completely to the umbra region of the planet Earth, then my dear children, we can observe the lunar eclipse. Okay, then we can observe the lunar eclipse. Especially this type of lunar eclipse is referred as the total lunar eclipse. Okay, total lunar eclipse. This incident can be observed with your naked eyes. Now you are not going to look at the sun in this case, no. So sun is the main object that's going to emit those kinds of bad or harmful light rays. These things are now these light rays which are getting emitted by the sun is going to be reflected and turned back to you guys, right, by our surface of the moon. So that in that case, my dear children, the like when you take the harmfulness, right, is getting reduced in greater extent, because most of the harmful rays will be absorbed by the surface of the moon, and the remaining amount of light rays are the ones which are getting transferred for you guys. So looking at a lunar eclipse from your naked eye won't harm you at all, even though you are looking at solar energy. Okay, it's not going to be a problem at all, because most of the light rays, harmful light rays, will be absorbed by the certain surface of the moon. Okay, so it's not going to harm your eyes, don't worry. So you can directly watch these things from your naked eye. There's not going to be a problem in it. Okay, so this incident can be observed with your naked eyes. As a science student, it is very important for you to observe this. During a total lunar eclipse, moon can be observed in reddish brown color. It lasts more than an hour. Right. So, important key points given. First thing is, you know that you are studying science in a greater extent within this part, my dear children. Especially we are focusing about the incidents that you are going to observe within our space or within our solar system. So as a science learning students, these incidents are very important for you guys to look at it. Okay, I mean, like, you have to follow up these things. You have to observe these things, as these things are very important. So one thing is that. The other is, my dear children, given during a total lunar eclipse, moon can be observed in reddish brown color, right? So like I said within the figure also, you can observe it. Normally during a total lunar eclipse, the moon surface or the area which is covered by moon can be observed as a reddish brown color. Okay, so usually when you look at the moon is like a light bright object. Okay, shows some kind of a light color, yellowish white color, right? That's why I mentioned as a light color. However, it's when you take the surface is very bright. But my dear children, during a lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse, this bright nature is going to reduce, and you can observe the moon as a reddish brown color one. Okay, you can observe the moon as a reddish brown color one. So if you can observe a reddish brown color one, that means, my dear children, you are going to observe a lunar eclipse. You are observing a lunar eclipse. So I think you have already got this experience. Sometimes when you go on a full moon day, when you are visiting temples on a full moon day, right, you may have seen that the color of the moon is getting somewhat different. It's showing a reddish color, a brownish color. It's because of the total lunar eclipses that's going to occur, right? These different colors which can be observed within the moon is mainly because of these eclipses, my dear children. Okay, mainly because of the eclipses. Right then, so this is how the total lunar eclipse is going to occur. Total lunar eclipse. So let's move on with the next. Then the next one, partial lunar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipse. Let's see. Instance in which part of the moon is in the umbra of the earth and the other part is in the penumbra is called the partial lunar eclipse. Now within the partial lunar eclipse, my dear children, as you can see here within the figure also, a part of the moon is located at the umbra region while the other portion or the other part is located at the penumbra region. Okay, so instance in which a part of moon is in the umbra of the earth and the other part is in the penumbra. So one part is at the umbra and the other is at the penumbra, like in the figure here. Then here the part of the moon in the umbra is seen in reddish brown color. So the part which is at the umbra region can be observed, my dear children, by using as a reddish brown color one. Okay, as a reddish brown color one, you can observe the part which is observed within the umbra region. So this is the second part or the second main incident regarding the lunar eclipse. So this is the partial lunar eclipse, my dear children. So within the partial lunar eclipse, one part of the moon is located within the umbra region while the other part is located within the penumbra region of the planet Earth. So the part of the moon which is in the umbra region also can be observed like in the previous case as a reddish brown color. So this is the moon which is observed during a partial lunar eclipse, and this is how it is being located. As you can see here, one portion is at the umbra region while the other portion is at the penumbra region. Always when you take the shadow, this darker surface represents the darker surface is going to represent the umbra region, my dear children, and the lighter area is going to represent the penumbral region. Okay, right? So this is the partial lunar eclipse, the second instance, partial lunar eclipse. Now let's head on to see the third and the final one. So third one is the penumbral lunar eclipse. Penumbral lunar eclipse. So it's very simple, my dear children. You know that during a penumbral lunar eclipse, it's very simple. What is that? During a penumbral lunar eclipse, as you can see here, my dear children, the moon is entirely located within the penumbral region of the planet Earth, right? But there is a special bit of a thing here. Now specialty is that when you take a penumbral lunar eclipse, penumbral lunar eclipses are not that much clearly visible to us. Okay, penumbral lunar eclipses are not that much clearly visible to us. But however, total lunar eclipses and partial lunar eclipses are somewhat clearly visible. But however, these penumbral ones are not that much visible for us. Okay, so here it is given, when moon moves in the penumbra of the earth, penumbral lunar eclipse occurs. This is not easy to observe as the brightness of the moon does not reduce considerably. So like I said, my dear children, as it is located within the penumbra region, the brightness of the moon is not going to change that much to a greater extent. So like I said, my dear children, it's because mainly of the distance. You know that the earth is very much closer to the moon. So the shadow given out by the earth, right, is not that much. It's not that much. It's not going to be that much clear, that much darker. So the penumbral region is not that much darker at all, okay, as it is very much closer to the moon. However, during the solar eclipse, my dear children, you know that the sun and the moon, they are very much far away. So a clear image of the, or a clear shadow of the moon is getting created on the surface of the earth, right? So in that case, my dear children, during the partial and also with the full, we can consider there is a considerable change. During the full one, there is a pretty much change. In a partial one also, there is a considerable change. But however, during a penumbral lunar eclipse, right, as the earth is somewhat a larger object and it is somewhat closer to the moon also, we can't observe that much a considerable change during a penumbral lunar eclipse. It's because of the brightness. Brightness is not that much getting reduced, right? So this is the main reason. This is the main reason behind the reduction of, right? That is the main reason behind that is the main reason that we can't observe a considerable change within the lunar eclipse, a partial within a penumbral lunar eclipse over here, right? It's mainly because of the size of the earth and the distance between the earth and the moon, right? Okay then. So like I said here, we can't observe a very clear image, so therefore there is no image to check, right, about the brightness of the moon. However, my dear children, the position is given, right? So here you can see clearly the moon is located at the penumbral region of the planet Earth, like in the figure here. However, we won't be able to observe this thing as a considerable change, okay? So therefore, you are not given with a special kind of a figure to observe this penumbral lunar eclipse, okay? Right then, so these are the three types of lunar eclipses, right? Total lunar eclipse, penumbral lunar eclipse, then my dear children, partial lunar eclipse. In the total lunar eclipse, moon is entirely located within the umbra of the planet Earth. During the partial lunar eclipse, one part of the moon is located within the umbra region of the planet Earth and the other part is on the penumbra region of the planet Earth. Then finally, penumbral lunar eclipse. On the penumbral lunar eclipse, the entire moon is located within the penumbra region of the planet Earth, like in the figure here. The previous two incidents, total lunar eclipse and the partial lunar eclipse, can be clearly visible from our naked eyes. However, when you take a penumbral lunar eclipse, okay, the partial lunar eclipse and the full or the total lunar eclipse can be visible, okay? Not the penumbral one, partial one and the total one can be clearly visible to naked eye. But however, penumbral one is not visible to naked eye, my dear children. Even though the partial and the total one is visible to naked eye, penumbral one is not that much visible to naked eye. I mean, it's very difficult to observe because the brightness of the moon is not that much getting reduced. It's mainly because of the size of the earth and the distance between the earth and the moon, okay? So these are the special cases that you need to remember about the lunar eclipses. Right, my dear children. So these are the three main types of lunar eclipses. Okay, 3 main types of lunar eclipses. So now you know how does the lunar eclipses are going to occur. So my dear children, now it's time to head on to our lab. Okay, and now let's observe how these eclipses are actually going to happen. So you know that we have that special kind of an instrument I'm going to demonstrate how these eclipses are going to occur. So we'll head on to lab and we'll observe how these eclipses are going to actually happen. Then by that way also we get a good knowledge about the lunar eclipses. So let's head on to lab and we'll observe how does the lunar eclipses are going to occur. So my dear children, now by using the same instrument over here, we are going to demonstrate how does the lunar eclipse is going to occur. So this is how the lunar eclipse is going to occur, my dear children. Now in a lunar eclipse, what happens? This is our planet Earth. Like I said in the previous case also, when we are studying about the solar eclipses, it's pretty much easy to observe the planet Earth, which is in blue color over here. This is our sun and this is the moon. So my dear children, as you can see here now, moon, Earth and sun is now on a straight line. So when sun is going to produce light energy, okay, the people around this area will not be able to see the moon over here, because as you can see here, now the earth is in between the moon and the sun. So the shadow of the earth is going to eclipse the moon. So here, my dear children, for the people around this area, they can see the bright full nature of the moon. So we know that lunar eclipses are going to mainly occur within a full moon day. So like this, my dear children, we can demonstrate the occurrence of a lunar eclipse. So like in the previous case, we have to darken the room in order to observe the lunar eclipse quite well. So we'll darken our room and we'll see how to demonstrate the lunar eclipse. So my dear children, now we have darkened the room or our environment. As you can see here right now very clearly, this particular area of the moon, right, is now in darker color. It's mainly because the shadow of the earth is now falling onto that particular area, right? So the people who are in this place of the earth will experience the lunar eclipse. Okay, so when the moon when the moon is going to come to this particular place, people around this area will definitely experience the lunar eclipse. Okay, so my dear children, the other specialty in here is that when now you know that moon is also going to revolute now. So when the moon is revolute around the earth, when the position of the earth is also going to change around the orbital axis of the sun, right, once again the moon will be available to observe for the people around here. So it's very clear to us that during a lunar eclipse, the shadow of the earth is going to fall on the surface of the moon. So that's how the lunar eclipse is going to occur. Always remember, this incident can only be observed during a full moon day, and sun, earth and the moon should come into a straight line like this. So in that particular case, shadow of the earth is going to fall around this area, and this particular area or this half of the moon is going to cover by the shadow of the earth. That would result a lunar eclipse, right? So it's pretty much obvious and clear to us. Lunar eclipses are going to occur upon falling the shadow of the earth on the moon. So my dear children, now we have studied about the lunar eclipse. How does the lunar eclipse is going to occur? So you know that, like I said in the earlier case, when the earth is going to change the position, once again, right, once again like this, now the people in these places can observe the moon. It's because now in this case, these three objects are not on a straight line. Okay. In order to observe a particular lunar eclipse, it should be on a straight line like this. Right? Now the shadow of the earth is going to fall on the moon. So my dear children, this is how to demonstrate the lunar eclipse then. So we'll head on to the classroom once again and we'll study further things related to the lesson. So now my dear children, we have got a sound knowledge about the solar eclipses and the lunar eclipses. Now by doing an experiment and doing a simple activity, we are going to demonstrate, right? We are going to demonstrate how these solar eclipses and lunar eclipses are going to occur. Already we know that solar eclipses are going to occur because of falling shadow of the moon on our planet Earth. That's how the solar eclipses are going to occur. Lunar eclipses are going to occur because of falling shadow of the Earth on the moon. Right, on the moon. So by doing this simple experiment, we are also going to demonstrate and show how this thing is going to occur. We are going to demonstrate and show it. So in demonstrating this thing, my dear children, you will be needing this special kind of instrument. So you'll be needing that equipment to demonstrate the motions of Earth and the moon. So within our school laboratory, you can find out this instrument. So when you are rotating one certain part, like in the earlier cases, when we are studying about the lunar eclipses, we studied this thing, right? We studied about this thing, right? When we are studying about solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, we studied about this thing. So we'll be needing these instruments in order to observe the eclipses. Okay, in order to observe the eclipses. Okay, so this is the instrument. I think you already know this instrument, my dear children. I have shown to you. So this is the instrument that will be needing to identify, right? Identify the, or to demonstrate these solar and lunar eclipses. So we'll be needing this instrument. So let's head on to see what is our method. So method is very simple, my dear children. So here two figures are given. So as per to the given two figures, what do you have to do? You have to, as per to the given two figures, you have to arrange the system according to the figures given here. And you need to identify how the solar eclipse is going to occur and how the lunar eclipse is going to occur. Main thing is that when you are doing this activity, you have to select a dark room. Okay, you have to select a dark room. Remember that thing. Right, so let's write down the method then. So it's very simple. First of all, you have to make the room dark. Make the room dark. Then arrange the setup according to figure arrange the setup according to figure and study the way of occurring solar eclipse. Right? So first of all, we have to make the room dark, my dear children. It's very important. Then according to the figure over here, this is the planet Earth. This yellow color one is the sun. So I think you already got the idea, my dear children. You have observed this thing, right? So first of all, what do you have to do? You have to make the room dark. Then you have to arrange the setup according to the figure here. Then you have to study about the way of occurring solar eclipse, right? Then the second step, according to the given figure here, arrange the setup. Arrange the setup according to figure and study the way of occurring lunar eclipse. Right? Study the way of occurring lunar eclipse. So it's very simple, my dear children. As you can see here, two figures are given. I think you already know what are these objects. The yellow color one represents the sun. The smaller one represents the moon. And the blue color ball, this represents our planet Earth. Right? So first of all, you have to arrange the setup according to the figure over here. So the moon should be over here, right? Then this is the sun and this is the planet Earth. Then what you have to do? You have to study the way of occurring a solar eclipse. You have to study the way of occurring a solar eclipse. We studied this thing in the earlier case also, but however within this part also we'll be studying the way of occurring the solar eclipse, right? Then in the second step, arrange the setup according to the figure and study the way of occurring lunar eclipse. So now in the second case, my dear children, you have to interchange the two positions, right? So here you have to rotate and take the moon to this kind of a place, right? Then you have to observe how does the lunar eclipse is going to occur according to the figure over here, right? So this is the way of doing our experiment, right? It's very simple, my dear children. You already have the experience by looking at the instrument, right? You already have the experience because we discussed this thing when we are discussing about the solar eclipses and also with the lunar eclipses thing, right? So once again, we'll head on to the lab and we'll demonstrate the lunar eclipses and the solar eclipses, right? So let's head on to the lab and we'll conduct the experiment. Then we'll once again come back to the classroom to write down our observations. So my dear children, you know and you have experience about this about this instrument. When we are studying about the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse, I have shown you this instrument. So by using this particular instrument, my dear children, we can demonstrate several incidents related to the phenomena in our solar system. So mainly we can use this instrument in order to observe lunar eclipses and solar eclipses, right? So when we arrange, so you know that I can rotate this arm like this. So when I'm rotating this arm, as you can see here, the earth is going to revolute around the sun, and also moon is also going to revolute around our earth. So when it is coming to this kind of a position right now, sun, earth and our moon is on a straight line. So the shadow of the earth is going to fall on the moon. At this particular position, my dear children, a lunar eclipse is going to occur, because for the people who are living around this area will not be able to observe the moon, because the shadow of the earth is going to cover the surface of the moon. Now, within this particular position of the sun, earth and moon, we can observe the lunar eclipse, my dear children. So as I'm going to rotate it once again like this, like this. Now my dear children, as you can see here, now between sun and earth, moon is there. So for the people who are living in this particular place of the planet earth, will not be able to observe the solar energy or sunlight. Sun is going to be covered by the shadow of the moon over here. So in order to happen this phenomena, sun, moon and planet earth should be along a straight line like this. Now in this particular moment, my dear children, for the people who are living in this area, will observe a solar eclipse. So by using this instrument, we can demonstrate lunar eclipse and as well as the solar eclipse. Okay. So it is pretty much clear to us that during the solar eclipse, like in this position, shadow of the moon falls on the earth, and like this, during the lunar eclipse, my dear children, now this is the lunar eclipse position of sun, earth and moon. During the lunar eclipse, my dear children, shadow of the planet earth is going to fall on the moon. So it's pretty much obvious to us that these shadows are the main reason for the occurrence of eclipses. Not only the eclipses, my dear children, here also we can demonstrate the revolution of the planet earth around our sun. So as you can see here, when I am moving this arm, planet earth is going to revolute around the sun. See? So we can demonstrate the revolution of the planet earth around our sun also. And also, when I am revoluting the planet earth, you can see that the revolution of the moon around our planet earth. So all of these things can be observed. While it is going to revolute around the sun, once again you can see that our planet earth is also going to rotate around its axis. So the rotation of the earth can also be observed from this instrument. Rotation of the earth also can be observed, right? Like this. So this instrument can be used in different demonstrations like this, my dear children. So let's head on to the classroom once again and we'll write down what are the things that we can demonstrate by using this instrument. So my dear children, we conducted the experiment. As you can see here, it's very clear to us that the lunar eclipse is going to occur upon falling the shadow of earth on the moon. And solar eclipse is going to occur upon falling shadow of the moon on the surface of the earth. right? So these are the two main incidents related to the solar system and the reasons of occurring these major incidents. So we can write down our observations like this. Number 1, upon falling shadow of the moon on earth, on surface of the earth, on the surface of the earth, upon falling shadow of the moon on the surface of the earth, solar eclipse occurs. Solar eclipse occurs. Then number 2, second instance, upon falling shadow of the earth, moon, lunar eclipse occurs. Lunar eclipse occurs. So upon falling shadow of the moon on the surface of the earth, solar eclipse occurs. Upon falling shadow of the earth on the moon, lunar eclipse occurs. So we can clearly identify these two when we are demonstrating that activity from that instrument, my dear children. So these are our observations, right? Okay then. So following motions and phenomena can be demonstrated using the above equipment. So as you can see here, we use that above equipment, my dear children, in order to demonstrate the, right, in order to demonstrate mainly the eclipses. But however, that particular instrument can also be used in different other, to show different other phenomena as well. As you can see here, when I am rotating one piece of the instrument, the earth is also going to rotate, and around the earth you can see that the moon is also going to rotate. But around our earth means that revolution of the moon can be observed. Revolution of the earth can be observed. Okay, revolution of the moon can be observed. And also, when I'm going to rotate that lever, earth is going to gradually rotate around the sun also. Means the revolution of earth can also be observed, right? And once again, you can clearly observe earth is also going to rotate around itself. So the rotation of the earth can also be observed. So all of these phenomena can be observed within that instrument. Apart from eclipses, my dear children, we can observe all of these revolutions and the rotations. So we could clearly observe the rotation of the planet Earth. We can clearly observe the revolution of moon around the earth, and also we could observe the revolution of earth around the sun. So apart from eclipses, apart from demonstrating eclipses. The above instrument can also be used to demonstrate the revolution of the planet Earth around the Sun, then revolution of Moon around the planet Earth, and also to demonstrate the rotation of planet Earth. Plus, we can also demonstrate solar eclipses and lunar eclipses also. So therefore, my dear children, all of these 5 incidents can be demonstrated by using above instrument. What are those 5 instances? Once again, rotation of the planet Earth, revolution of the planet Earth around the Sun, revolution of the Moon around the planet Earth, then lunar eclipses and solar eclipses. So all of these 5 incidents can be demonstrated by using the above instruments. So we can write down the 5 instances. Number 1, revolution of Earth around Sun, right? Revolution of Earth around Sun, then revolution of Moon around Earth, revolution of Moon around Earth. Then number 3, rotation of Earth around its own axis. Then number 4, solar eclipse. Solar eclipse. Then finally, lunar eclipse. So these are the 5 main incidents that we can demonstrate by using above instrument. What is that? Number 1, revolution of Earth around Sun. Then number 2, revolution of Moon around the Earth. Number 3, rotation of Earth around its own axis. Then number 4, solar eclipses. Number 5, lunar eclipses. All of these incidents can be observed or demonstrated by using the above instrument, my dear children. Right, my dear children. So these are the 5 main incidents. So let's head on to see what are the other contents in the lesson. Right. So for your extra knowledge, you are given with certain things, my dear children. The lunar eclipses that can be seen in Sri Lanka in the upcoming years, right? So in the upcoming years, what are the lunar eclipses that can be observed? So there was a lunar eclipse on February 10, 2017, and it is a penumbral lunar eclipse. Once again, there was another one on January 10th, 2010, which is once again a penumbral lunar eclipse. And on 30th November 2020, right? So the first one was on 10th February 2017, a penumbral lunar eclipse. Then the next one is on January 10th, 2020, penumbral lunar eclipse once again. Then November 30th on 2020, once again a penumbral lunar eclipse. Then, my dear children, on November 8, 2022, a total lunar eclipse on November 8. Then October 28 of 2023, October 28 of 2023, a partial lunar eclipse can be observed. I told you that, however, if you take the penumbral lunar eclipses, these things are not that much visible for our naked eye. It's somewhat difficult to identify. But however, these total lunar eclipses and partial lunar eclipses are clear to identify, my dear children. So as a science student, science learning student, you are pretty much important to check these things, right, and to observe these things, my dear children. Okay, so these are several lunar eclipses that you may experience within our upcoming years. Okay, so these are lunar eclipses, my dear children. Right, my dear children. So these are the main years or the upcoming years that we can observe these penumbral and total and partial lunar eclipses. So now you got a sound knowledge about demonstrating these things by using that earlier instrument, no? So now let's observe a video clip regarding a total lunar eclipse first. Okay, a small bit of a video clip regarding the total lunar eclipse. So let's head on to see that lunar eclipse, total lunar eclipse, by using a video clip, and once again we'll come back. So my dear children, you have observed the total lunar eclipse by using that video clip. As you can see, you can clearly observe the surface of the moon in red color, right? At a certain instance, moon was disappeared, moon is gradually going to disappear, and you can observe the color, you can observe the moon once again within the reddish color, okay, as a reddish color object. So my dear children, that's about the total lunar eclipse now. Now let's head on to see the partial lunar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipse, right? So once again, we'll check a video clip regarding the partial lunar eclipse. Right, my dear children. So that's the partial lunar eclipse then. So we can clearly observe these two total lunar eclipses and the partial lunar eclipses very well. But however, my dear children, I told you that these penumbral lunar eclipses are somewhat difficult to observe from our naked eye, right? Those penumbral lunar eclipses are somewhat difficult to observe from our naked eye, as the brightness is not getting reduced that much to a greater extent, right? However, we'll observe how does a penumbral lunar eclipse also going to occur by using a video clip, so that you can get a knowledge about the lunar eclipses. Right, so within that, after doing this lunar eclipses part, I'm going to wind up the chapter, my dear children. So within our next chapter, we'll be identifying and we'll be studying further things related to the lesson. So we'll meet you I'll meet you with the next chapter to identify or to observe and to carry out the other things related with the lesson.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.